The massive Vexari battle fleet emerged from quantum space above a small blue-green world. 300 warships, each capable of turning continents to ash, arranged themselves in perfect attack formation. On the command deck of the flagship Inevitable Dominion, Admiral Korvax stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, mandibles clicking with anticipation as he gazed at the unremarkable planet. "So this is Earth," he said, his gravelly voice carrying across the silent bridge, the supposed homeworld of the mythical humans that the old texts warned about. His second-in-command, Commander Loxar, approached with a data tablet. "Scans show primitive technology, Admiral. Some orbital structures and rudimentary defense systems. Nothing that poses a threat to our fleet." Korvax nodded, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of nearby displays. The Vexari Dominion had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade. Their technological superiority was unquestioned, their military doctrine flawless. This would be just another swift victory to add to their expanding empire. "Begin the standard protocols," Korvax ordered. "Broadcast surrender terms. Give them 1 planetary rotation to comply before we target their major population centers." "Yes, Admiral." As Commander Loxar returned to his station, a junior officer called out, "Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's surface." Korvax waved a dismissive hand. "Likely their primitive weapons powering up. Nothing that can penetrate our shields, no, sir. These readings don't match any weapon signatures in our database. And there's something else." The officer's voice faltered. "Many of what we thought were natural satellites are changing." On the main view screen, what had appeared to be ordinary moons and space debris began to transform. Metal panels slid away, revealing weapon ports, hidden defense platforms decloaked in Earth's orbit. What had seemed like an undefended world suddenly bristled with firepower. "Impossible," Korvax whispered. A communication request flashed on their screens. Against his better judgment, Korvax nodded for it to be accepted. A human female appeared on the view screen. Her skin was brown, her black hair pulled back tightly, and her uniform bore insignia that the Vexari translation systems couldn't identify. "Vexari fleet, you have entered restricted space. This is Admiral Elena Torres of the United Earth Defense Force. You have 30 seconds to power down weapons and prepare for boarding, or we will consider this an act of war." The bridge crew exchanged glances, some suppressing laughter. These primitives had no idea who they were dealing with. The Vexari fleet could reduce their entire civilization to ashes in minutes. Korvax stepped forward. "This is Admiral Korvax of the Vexari Dominion. Your species is unknown to the greater galaxy except in children's tales. You have no standing to make demands. Surrender your planet and resources, and we may allow some of your population to survive as laborers." Admiral Torres smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I was hoping you'd say something like that. Your 30 seconds expired while you were talking." The view screen went blank. Korvax turned to his weapons officer. "Target their largest population centers. First wave. Fire when ready." "Yes, Admiral." But as the Vexari weapon systems came online, strange readings appeared across every console on the bridge. Targeting systems failed. Quantum shields fluctuated. Power levels dropped inexplicably. "What is happening?" Korvax demanded. The sensor officer looked up, confusion evident in his 4 eyes. "Admiral, something is emerging from behind their moon." On the view screen, a fleet of sleek vessels appeared, seemingly materializing from nowhere. The ships were unlike anything in Vexari records. Angular in some places, curved in others, with no visible propulsion systems. They moved with impossible speed and precision. "How did we not detect them?" Commander Loxar asked, his voice barely audible. Before anyone could answer, the human ships accelerated to velocities that the Vexari had thought impossible for any species to achieve. They weren't just fast, they seemed to bend space around them, appearing almost simultaneously at multiple points around the Vexari fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," Korvax ordered, but it was too late. The first barrage hit the outer line of Vexari warships, but instead of explosions there was simply nothing. The targeted ships didn't explode or break apart. They simply stopped, all power, all movement. All communications cut in an instant. Another transmission from Earth broke through their communications. Those were our smallest weapons. "Admiral Korvax," Torres said, her image now standing on what was clearly her own bridge. "A localized disruption field that severs the connection between matter and energy. Your ships are intact. Your crews are alive. but they're now floating pieces of metal with no power. Would you like to see what our actual weapons do? Korvax gripped the edge of his command console. This was impossible. Humans were supposed to be primitive, barely spacefaring. The intelligence reports had been clear. What are you? He asked. Torres raised an eyebrow. We're the species that decided the safest way to exist in this galaxy was to be underestimated. We've been watching the Vexari for decades. We know your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. We could have stopped your expansion years ago. But you weren't threatening anything we cared about. Another wave of human ships appeared, surrounding the Vexari fleet completely. Until now, Torres finished. Korvax looked at his tactical display. The human ships were positioned perfectly to strike his entire fleet simultaneously. There was no escape. What do you want? He asked, mandibles tight against his face in the Vexari expression of extreme stress. First, you'll stand down your fleet. Then we're going to have a conversation about why the Vexari have been expanding so aggressively. Our intelligence suggests you're running from something, Admiral. Something that frightens even the mighty Vexari. Korvax froze. How could they know that? The secret was known only to the highest levels of Vexari leadership. We have much to discuss, Torres continued, including why we've allowed you to believe we were nothing but myths. But first, order your ships to power down weapons. This is the only warning you'll receive. As Korvax hesitated, a single human vessel approached the inevitable Dominion. It was smaller than the flagship, but emanated energy readings that made the sensor officer back away from his console in fear. Admiral, the officer whispered, that ship could destroy our entire fleet. Looking at the readings himself, Korvax knew it was true. Whatever technology the humans possessed, it was far beyond Vexari understanding. He had come to conquer a world of primitives from the old myths. Instead, he had found something far more dangerous. A highly advanced civilization that had deliberately hidden its true nature from the galaxy. All ships, Korvax said, his voice steady despite the fear gripping him. Power down weapons, we accept the humans' terms. As his orders were relayed throughout the fleet, Admiral Torres nodded once in acknowledgement. A wise decision, Admiral Korvax. Perhaps you'll be remembered as the Vexari who prevented your species' extinction. Her expression softened slightly. Believe it or not, we don't want to destroy you, but you needed to understand exactly who and what you were dealing with. The human ships maintained their positions, weapons still trained on the Vexari fleet. Welcome to Earth, Admiral, Torres said. The home of humanity. We've been a myth for a very long time. Now you get to learn why. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Reed moved silently through the crowded alien marketplace on Centauri Station, the largest trading hub in the galactic Concord. His skin had been temporarily altered to match the blue-gray color of a Talaxian merchant, complete with ridge markings along his neck. To anyone watching, he was just another trader, seeking deals among the countless species that frequented the station. But Jackson was hunting for something far more valuable than goods information. 500 years earlier, after humanity's first contact with hostile aliens nearly led to Earth's destruction, the leaders of humanity made a momentous decision. Rather than announcing themselves to the galaxy, they would hide in plain sight. They developed what became known as the Ghost Protocol, a multi-generational plan to erase evidence of humanity's true capabilities while spreading carefully crafted legends about humans across alien cultures. Humanity advanced in secret, building hidden outposts across hundreds of star systems while maintaining the fiction that Earth was home to a primitive, barely spacefaring species. The few aliens who discovered the truth were either integrated into human society or, if they posed a threat, had their memories altered. Jackson paused at a food stall, pretending to examine exotic fruits while listening to the conversations around him. His neural implant translated 17 different languages simultaneously. He was searching for any mention of the Vexari, fleet that had disappeared 3 days ago after heading toward the supposedly unimportant system containing Earth, largest battle group they've ever assembled. A three-eyed merchant was saying to his companion, 300 warships gone. No communications, no distress signals, simply vanished. His companion, a tall insectoid creature, clicked her mandibles nervously. The Vexari don't just disappear. They conquer. They destroy. What could eliminate an entire fleet? Jackson ordered a drink, maintaining his cover while his heart raced. So word was spreading already. He needed to report back immediately. As he turned to leave, a heavy hand landed on his shoulder. Jackson tensed but didn't reach for the weapon hidden in his sleeve. Merchant Cora, a deep voice rumbled, or should I say Ghost Operative Reed. Jackson turned slowly to face a massive Duraxian security officer. The rhinoceros-like alien's small eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "I don't know what you're talking about," Jackson replied in flawless Talaxian. "My name is—" "Save it, human," the Duraxian interrupted, keeping his voice low. "Security Chief Morax knows what you are. He wants to talk. Now." 10 minutes later, Jackson sat in a private security office, his cover blown but his true mission still secure. Chief Morax, an older Duraxian with battle scars across his snout, studied him from across a metal desk. 5 years, Morax said finally. 5 years you've been operating on my station, and I only discovered your true nature last week. Impressive. Jackson remained silent. The Vexari fleet is gone, Morax continued. Vanished near Earth, your homeworld. He leaned forward. What did your people do to them? I have no idea what you're talking about, Jackson replied evenly. Morax slammed a meaty fist on the desk. Don't play games. The Vexari have conquered 17 systems in 10 years. Nothing stops them. Nothing challenges them. Then they approach Earth and their entire fleet disappears? He lowered his voice. The Ghost Protocol. That's what you call it, isn't it? The Grand Deception. Jackson's blood ran cold. How much did this alien know? The Vexari aren't just expanding for resources or power, Morax said. They're running from something. Something terrible is coming, Reed. And now they've provoked the one species that might have helped them fight it. Before Jackson could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. A communication officer burst into the room. Chief, we've received an emergency broadcast from Vexari space. Their homeworld is under attack. Morax rushed to the main security center with Jackson close behind. On the central view screen, a grainy transmission showed massive biomechanical ships descending on the Vexari homeworld. Unlike anything Jackson had ever seen, these ships seemed to merge organic and mechanical components in ways that defied conventional engineering. The Harvesters, Morax whispered, his voice thick with fear. They're real. The old stories were true. Jackson watched in horror as the alien ships tore through the remaining Vexari defenses like they were nothing. His neural implant recorded everything automatically. I need to get back to Earth, he said, dropping all pretense. Morax turned to him. You won't make it. Not with conventional travel. The pathways between systems are becoming unstable. I'll find a way. Jackson turned to leave, but Morax grabbed his arm. Listen to me, human. I've known about your kind for years. I've protected your operatives on this station because I suspected we would need you someday. That day has come. He released Jackson's arm. The Harvesters consume everything. Technology, biological material, entire civilizations. They've been moving through distant galaxies for millennia. Now they're here. How do you know all this? Because my species encountered them long ago. We barely escaped. We've been preparing ever since, gathering information, studying their patterns. Morax's eyes narrowed. The Vexari knew too. Their expansion was to create buffer zones between their homeworld and the Harvester's projected path. They were willing to sacrifice other species to save themselves. On the screen, one of the Harvester ships opened, disgorging smaller craft that descended to the Vexari planet's surface. Jackson didn't need to see more to know what would happen next. I can get you to Earth faster than any conventional ship, Morax said suddenly. We have technology we've kept hidden, just as your people have. Why would you help me? Because the legends about humans contain elements of truth, don't they? Your adaptability, your innovation under pressure, your capacity for both terrible violence and remarkable compassion. Morax gestured to the screen. If anyone can find a way to stop the Harvesters, it might be your kind. Back on Earth, Admiral Torres stood in the United Earth Defense Command Center, watching as the captured Vexari Admiral Korvax was brought in. He had been treated well, his wounds healed, but the shock of defeat still showed in his rigid posture. Admiral Torres, he acknowledged stiffly, your hospitality has been unexpected. We're not the monsters you were taught to fear, Korvax, she replied. No, you're something far more dangerous, he said. A species that hides its true nature, that watches and waits from the shadows. Torres gestured to the holographic display showing the Vexari fleet now in Earth orbit, surrounded by human defense platforms. We had our reasons. Primitive species get conquered. Threatening ones get eliminated. Mysterious ones get left alone. A clever strategy, Korvax admitted. One born of necessity, Torres replied. Our first contact with alien life nearly destroyed us. We weren't ready. We vowed never to be vulnerable again. Before Korvax could respond, the command center erupted in activity. A junior officer approached Torres. Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Ghost Operative Reed on Centauri Station. He reports that the Vexari homeworld is under attack by unknown forces. Korvax stiffened. The Harvesters, he whispered. They've come. Torres looked sharply at him. You know what these things are? Korvax seemed to age before her eyes. They are the real reason for our expansion. We needed buffer worlds, resources, defensive depth. Our leadership detected their approach years ago. And you didn't warn anyone? You just conquered and killed instead? Would you have believed us? Would anyone? Korvax asked bitterly. We did what we thought necessary for survival. The command center fell silent as footage from the Vexari homeworld appeared on the main screen. The same footage Jackson Reed was watching millions of miles away on Centauri Station. They won't stop with my world, Korvax said quietly. They'll come for yours next. For every world with technology or resources they can consume. Admiral Torres watched the destruction unfolding, her mind racing through options, scenarios, possibilities. Then she made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Get me a direct line to the Earth Council, she ordered, and prepare a full briefing on the Vexari homeworld situation. We need to activate the Lazarus Protocol. Her second-in-command looked shocked. The Lazarus Protocol? But that would reveal everything, Torres finished. Yes, the time for hiding is over. She turned to Korvax. You're about to see why humans have remained myths for so long, Admiral. And why the Harvesters are about to regret finding us. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the observation chamber, watching Admiral Korvax through one-way glass as he examined the holographic display of Earth's defense systems. The Vexari commander moved with deliberate precision, his forearms occasionally reaching to manipulate the projected images. Behind her, 2 armed guards stood at attention, though Maya knew they weren't really necessary. The detention facility was secure enough to hold beings far more dangerous than a single Vexari admiral. He's been at it for 3 hours, said General Rodriguez, who had joined her a few minutes earlier. What do you think he's looking for? Understanding, Maya replied. He's trying to make sense of us. As the leading xenoanthropologist for the United Earth Defense Force, Maya had been assigned to study Korvax and learn about Vexari society. What she had discovered disturbed her deeply. The Vexari worldview is built on absolute strength and dominance, she explained to the general. The concept of showing mercy to a defeated enemy is completely alien to them. They respect only power. Then why did their admiral surrender instead of fighting to the death? Because he's smarter than most, Maya said. He recognized something in us that frightened him more than defeat. At that moment, the door to Korvax's room slid open, and Admiral Torres entered. The Vexari straightened, his posture shifting to what Maya had come to recognize as their version of formal attention. Your defense grid is impressive, Korvax said without preamble. But it won't be enough against the Harvesters. Torres didn't bother asking how he knew what he was looking at. The holograms had been deliberately simplified, showing only what humans wanted the Vexari to see. Tell me about them, Torres said, taking a seat across from Korvax. Everything you know. Why should I help you? You've humiliated my people, captured our fleet. Because right now, we're preparing to send relief ships to your homeworld, Torres replied calmly. Korvax's mandibles clicked in what Maya recognized as surprise. You would help us? After we tried to conquer you. That's what you still don't understand about humans, Admiral. We can be your worst enemy or your strongest ally. Right now, we're choosing the latter. In the observation room, Maya's tablet beeped. A priority message from Lieutenant Commander Reed had finally arrived, relayed through the quantum communication network. She scanned it quickly, her face paling. General, we need to get this to Admiral Torres immediately. Meanwhile, in Earth orbit, the combined human and Vexari engineering teams worked to integrate their technologies. Despite centuries of warfare, the Vexari were skilled engineers, and their quantum shield technology complemented human phasing systems in ways that neither species had anticipated. Fleet Commander Thomas Reyes floated in zero gravity beside his Vexari counterpart, Commander Loxar, as they inspected the modifications to a human destroyer. "Your weapon systems are unlike anything I've ever seen," Loxar admitted. "We always thought humans were primitive, barely able to achieve spaceflight." "That was the idea," Reyes replied. "The Ghost Protocol was our greatest defense. No one conquers what they don't believe exists." "A strategy of deception," Loxar said, mandibles clicking in what Reyes had learned was amusement. "Effective but not honorable by Vexari standards. Honor gets you killed when you're a small species in a big galaxy. We learned that lesson early." Their conversation was interrupted by an alarm. Both commanders turned to see a swirling distortion forming a few kilometers from the shipyard. "Unauthorized quantum breach," shouted a human officer over the comm system. "Unknown vessel emerging." Defense platform swiveled, targeting the distortion as it widened. Reyes and Loxar rushed to the command module of the shipyard, arriving just as a small, sleek vessel emerged from the breach. "Hold fire," Reyes ordered as recognition dawned. "That's a Ghost Protocol ship." The vessel's design was unlike standard human military craft, built for stealth and speed rather than combat. As it approached, a transmission came through. "This is Lieutenant Commander Reed requesting emergency docking and immediate audience with Admiral Torres. I have critical intelligence about the harvesters and a guest." Back in the detention facility, Maya burst into the meeting between Torres and Korvax. "Admiral, Reed is back, and he's brought someone with him, Security Chief Morix from Centauri Station." Torres's eyes widened slightly, the only indication of her surprise. "Morax? He knows about the Ghost Protocol?" "Apparently he's known for years," Maya said. "And he has information about the harvesters. His species encountered them before." 30 minutes later, they all gathered in the high-security briefing room, deep beneath Earth's surface. Jackson Reed looked exhausted but alert. Beside him stood the massive form of Chief Morix, the Duraxian's rhino-like features imposing even in the spacious room. "The harvesters aren't just a technological threat," Morax explained, his deep voice rumbling. "They're a biological and informational one as well. They don't just destroy civilizations, they consume them, incorporating their knowledge, their biology, their very essence into themselves." He activated a data crystal, displaying images that made even the hardened military personnel in the room shift uncomfortably. "My ancestors encountered them 3,000 years ago. Our homeworld was lost, but some of us escaped. We've been gathering intelligence ever since, preparing for their eventual return to this part of the galaxy." "Why didn't you warn anyone?" Torres asked, echoing the same question she had asked Korvax earlier. "We did," Morax replied grimly. "The Vexari leadership knew. So did the Talaxians, the Feroxi, and half a dozen other major species. They all reacted differently. The Vexari chose conquest, creating buffer zones. Others built hidden refuges or developed specialized weapons. And what did the Duraxians do?" Maya asked. "We infiltrated. We watched. We waited." Morax looked directly at Torres. "Much like humans, we found that being underestimated has its advantages." Korvax, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "What about the harvester weakness? Did your people discover it?" All eyes turned to the Vexari admiral. "What weakness?" Reed asked. "There were rumors," Korvax said slowly. "Ancient texts that spoke of a vulnerability in their hive mind. Something about synchronized attacks on their processing nodes. But our scientists could never verify it." Morax nodded. "The texts exist, but they're incomplete. The harvesters adapt quickly. Whatever weakness they had 3,000 years ago, they may have eliminated. Unless they couldn't," Maya interjected. Everyone turned to look at her. "Biological and technological evolution both have constraints. Some vulnerabilities can't be engineered out without compromising core functionality." Admiral Torres stood up. "Dr. Patel, I want you working with Chief Morax and Admiral Korvax to identify potential weaknesses based on all available data. Commander Reed, coordinate with Fleet Commander Reyes to prepare our ships for potential deployment." As the meeting dispersed, Maya found herself walking alongside Korvax toward the research labs. "Why are you helping us?" the Vexari asked quietly. "We came to conquer your world." "Because that's what humans do," Maya replied. "We adapt. We forgive when it serves a greater purpose. And right now, survival is that purpose. Your species is not what we expected," Korvax admitted. "Few things are, Admiral," Maya said with a small smile. "That's what makes the universe interesting." In Earth orbit, the first wave of relief ships prepared to depart for Vexari space. equipped with both medical supplies and defensive capabilities. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, the UESS Mercy, watching as the final preparations were completed. Beside him, Commander Loxar seemed troubled. "Your people named a warship Mercy?" he asked. "It's not a warship," Reyes explained. "It's a medical vessel with defensive capabilities. The name reminds us of its primary purpose." "Among the Vexari, Mercy is seen as weakness," Loxar said. Reyes nodded toward the view screen, which showed the devastation on the Vexari homeworld. "And how has that philosophy served your people against the Harvesters?" Before Loxar could respond, an alert sounded. A junior officer approached Reyes. "Commander, long-range sensors have detected multiple quantum distortions forming at the edge of our solar system. They match the signature of Harvester vessels." The command deck fell silent. "How many?" Reyes asked, his voice steady. 57, sir, and they're moving fast." Reyes exchanged a glance with Loxar, then activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. The Harvesters have found Earth." Commander Olivia Wu stood on the bridge of the UESS Defiance, Earth's most advanced battlecruiser, as the first Harvester ships emerged from quantum space. The massive biomechanical vessels defied conventional physics, their hulls rippling with what appeared to be living tissue stretched over impossibly complex machinery. They moved with unnatural precision, spreading out to surround Earth's combined defense fleet. "All ships maintain formation," Olivia ordered, her voice calm despite the churning in her stomach. She had never seen anything like these vessels. Not in all her years commanding Earth's elite rapid response team. "Commander, we're receiving emergency transmissions from the Vexari Reserve Fleet," her communications officer reported. "They're being pursued by additional Harvester vessels." On the main view screen, a dozen Vexari warships appeared, their formation broken, some trailing debris and venting atmosphere. Behind them came more Harvester ships, moving relentlessly forward like predators stalking wounded prey. "Bring the Vexari into our defensive envelope," Olivia ordered without hesitation. "Deploy phase shields to cover their approach." "But Commander," her tactical officer protested, "that would reveal our phase technology to the enemy." "They'll see it soon enough anyway," Olivia replied. "And we need those ships." As the human fleet extended its protective shields, the Harvester vessels adjusted their approach. They didn't fire weapons in any conventional sense. Instead, tendrils of energy reached out from their hulls, probing the human defenses like curious fingers. "They're scanning our technology," reported Science Officer Amit Das. "The energy signatures suggest they're attempting to interface with our systems." "Countermeasures active," Olivia ordered. "Deploy cognitive firewalls." Unlike most species in the galaxy, humans had developed their technology with paranoia as a foundational principle. Every system had multiple layers of protection, including the revolutionary cognitive firewalls that could adapt to unknown intrusion attempts in real time. The first tendril of Harvester energy that touched a human ship's shield recoiled as if burned. The massive vessel it came from shuddered visibly. "They didn't expect resistance on that level," Amit said, a note of satisfaction in his voice. "Our firewalls just sent back a recursive logic bomb." Olivia allowed herself a small smile. First blood to humanity. Her momentary triumph faded as the Harvesters adapted almost instantly. Their next probing attack came from multiple vessels simultaneously, targeting different sections of the human defense grid. "They're learning," Olivia noted grimly. "All ships prepare for direct engagement. Remember your training. These things adapt quickly, so don't use the same tactic twice." As the human fleet braced for battle, a quantum communication came through from Earth Command. Admiral Torres's face appeared on a secondary screen. "Commander Wu, we've identified a potential weakness in the Harvester fleet. Dr. Patel and our allies have discovered that their ships operate on a hive mind with distributed processing nodes. Destroy enough nodes simultaneously, and the entire consciousness fragments." "How do we identify these nodes?" Olivia asked. "They appear to be the structures that resemble ganglia on their hulls, the junction points where organic and mechanical components meet. Each ship has between 3 and 7 depending on its size." Olivia studied the enemy vessels with new understanding. "So we need synchronized strikes across multiple ships within a narrow time window." "Exactly. The window appears to be approximately 3 seconds. 3 seconds to coordinate attacks across dozens of ships spread throughout the solar system. It would require precision that pushed the limits of even human technology. "We'll make it work," Olivia promised. Defiance out. As she turned to brief her fleet, the first wave of harvester attacks began in earnest. Not energy weapons or projectiles, but swarms of smaller craft that detached from the larger ships. These attack vessels moved with disturbing organic fluidity, changing shape as they approached. "All point defense systems open fire," Olivia ordered. "Don't let them get close to any ship." The space around Earth lit up as hundreds of defensive weapons engaged the harvester swarm. But for every attacker destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Several made it through to the Vexari ships, which had weaker point defense systems. Olivia watched in horror as the attackers latched onto a Vexari cruiser, their forms melding with its hull. Within seconds, the ship's crew lost control as harvester technology began consuming and repurposing the vessel. "Target that Vexari ship," she ordered reluctantly. "We can't let them take it." Human weapons fire converged on the infected cruiser, destroying it before the harvesters could fully assimilate its technology. Olivia silently mourned the Vexari crew, adding their deaths to the mental tally she kept of all those lost under her command. In the research labs beneath Earth's surface, Dr. Maya Patel worked feverishly alongside Admiral Korvax and Chief Morax. Holographic displays showed the battle unfolding above them, while other screens contained complex biological and technological analyses. "The synchronization has to be perfect," Maya insisted, pointing to a simulation of a harvester neural network. "If the attacks are even half a second apart, the hive mind will adapt and reroute. And we need to hit at least 50 processing nodes simultaneously," Korvax added. "Across at least 15 different ships. The logistical challenge is immense." Morax, who had been silent for several minutes, suddenly straightened. "There might be a way to extend the vulnerability window." Both Maya and Korvax turned to him. "My people developed a quantum resonance disruptor before we lost our homeworld," the Duraxian explained. "It was designed to interfere with the harvester's neural synchronization, forcing their nodes to maintain standard communication protocols rather than adapting." "You have this technology?" Maya asked, hope rising in her chest. "Not with me," Morax admitted. "But the designs exist, buried in our most secure archives. If I could access them—" "I can get you that access," came a voice from the doorway. Lieutenant Commander Reed had entered silently, his face showing the strain of recent days. "The Duraxian High Command has agreed to share their archives with us in exchange for Earth's protection if the harvesters move against their refugee worlds." Maya turned back to her displays, mind racing. "If we can extend the vulnerability window from 3 seconds to even 10 or 15, that would give Commander Wu's fleet a fighting chance." Korvax studied the battle simulations with his 4 eyes narrowed. "Even with the disruptor, we would need to get close enough to deploy it. The harvesters will target any ship carrying such a device the moment they detect it." "Then we don't let them detect it," Reed said. "We use ghost protocol tactics. A ship that isn't believed to exist can't be targeted." Above them, the battle for Earth continued to rage. The harvester ships had formed a precise geometric pattern around the planet, ignoring conventional tactical doctrine in favor of positioning that seemed to serve some larger purpose. On the Defiance, Commander Wu watched with growing concern as the pattern became clear. "They're creating a quantum resonance field," she realized aloud. "They're going to try to bypass our defenses entirely and directly interface with Earth's core systems." "How is that possible?" her second-in-command asked. "Our planetary shields should prevent any such attempt. They're not using technology as we understand it," Olivia replied grimly. "They're creating a field that exists partially in quantum space where our conventional shields don't reach." She opened a direct channel to Earth Command. "Admiral Torres, the harvesters are attempting a direct attack on planetary systems. We need to activate the Prometheus network." There was a moment of silence before Torres responded. "Understood, Commander. But you should know. Once activated, there's no turning it back." The Prometheus network was humanity's greatest secret, a solar system-wide defense grid that had remained dormant for centuries. Built after Earth's first contact war, it was designed as a last resort, capable of manipulating the fundamental forces of physics within the entire system. "We don't have a choice," Olivia said. "If they complete their resonance field, we lose Earth." "Very well," Torres replied. Prometheus activation codes are being transmitted to the Defiance now. God help us all. As Olivia received the codes, a new alert sounded. One of the harvester ships had broken formation and was moving rapidly toward Mars. What are they doing? She wondered aloud. The answer came seconds later as the massive ship positioned itself above the Martian North Pole and extended dozens of tendrils deep into the planet's surface. Immediately, long-dormant systems buried beneath the Martian crust began to activate, systems not of human origin. "Admiral," Olivia reported, her voice tight with urgency. "They're activating something on Mars, something ancient." "The first one's technology," Torres breathed. "They found it. Humanity had discovered the remnants of an ancient alien civilization on Mars decades ago, but had kept it secret from the rest of the galaxy. The technology was so advanced that even humans couldn't fully comprehend it. They had studied it, protected it, but never activated it for fear of the consequences. Now the harvesters were about to claim it for themselves. "Commander Wu," Torres said, her voice hardening with resolve. "Your new primary objective is to prevent the harvesters from accessing the Mars facility at all costs. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy may depend on it." "Understood," Olivia replied. She turned to her crew, determination in her eyes. "Set course for Mars, all weapons to maximum readiness. We stop them here or nowhere." As the Defiance changed course, the rest of the human fleet moved to implement the synchronized attack plan. They would have only one chance to strike at the harvester neural nodes, and on Earth, Maya, Korvax, and Morax raced against. Time to complete the quantum resonance disruptor that might give them the edge they needed. The battle for humanity's survival had truly begun. The USS Defiance emerged from quantum jump near Mars, weapons already charged. Commander Olivia Wu watched in horror as the massive harvester ship continued to sink its tendrils deep into the red planet's surface. Around the primary vessel, smaller harvester craft formed a defensive perimeter. "Status report on the ancient facility," Olivia demanded. "The harvesters have breached the outer security layers," her science officer reported. "They're bypassing systems faster than our remote defenses can adapt. Estimated time to full access of the first one's technology, 12 minutes. 12 minutes to prevent an enemy of unimaginable power from acquiring technology that even humans didn't fully understand. Technology that predated Earth's civilization by millions of years. "Deploy the quantum resonance disruptor," Olivia ordered. "Target the primary harvester vessel." The disruptor was a desperate gamble, designed by the Duraxians centuries ago and refined by Dr. Patel and Admiral Korvax in mere hours. It was their best hope of extending the vulnerability window for the synchronized attack. "Disruptor deployed and active," the tactical officer confirmed. "Effect unknown. Wait, I'm detecting fluctuations in the harvester neural network." On the view screen, the tendrils penetrating Mars's surface seemed to shudder. The geometric precision of the smaller craft faltered momentarily. "It's working," Olivia breathed. "Fleet-wide communication. All ships prepare for synchronized attack on designated neural nodes. Attack window extended to 15 seconds. Countdown begins on my mark." Throughout the solar system, human and Vexari ships moved into position. Each had been assigned specific targets, the ganglia-like structures on harvester vessels where organic and mechanical components joined. 5 seconds, Olivia counted down. "Mark!" Across 53 different ships, weapons fired simultaneously at harvester neural nodes. The precision required was beyond what any species had attempted before. A ballet of destruction orchestrated across millions of kilometers of space. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The harvester ships convulsed, their movements becoming erratic. Several smaller vessels simply shut down, drifting powerless in space. But the largest ships, including the one at Mars, quickly began to adapt. "Second volley," Olivia ordered. "Different targets." Again, the coordinated strike hit home. More harvester ships faltered, but still not enough. "Admiral Torres," Olivia called over the quantum comm. "We need the Prometheus network now." Back on Earth, Admiral Torres stood in the ancient control chamber buried 2 kilometers beneath the Atlantic Ocean. The chamber predated modern human civilization, built during the aftermath of Earth's first contact war when humanity realized just how dangerous the galaxy truly was. "Activating Prometheus," Torres confirmed. "All personnel, prepare for gravitational distortions." She placed her palm on the activation console. Biometric scanners confirmed her identity, and the system hummed to life. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations that had remained dormant for centuries began to power up. The Prometheus network wasn't just a weapons platform. It was a system designed to manipulate the fundamental forces of physics within Sol system. Gravity, electromagnetic forces, even the strong and weak nuclear forces could be subtly altered in ways that would devastate non-human technology, while leaving Earth systems intact. As the network activated, the space around the Harvester ships began to distort. Quantum fields collapsed, disrupting their advanced propulsion systems. Communication between vessels became erratic, as light itself behaved unpredictably in their vicinity. "It's working," Torres reported to the fleet. "But they're already adapting. You have maybe 5 minutes before they compensate." On Mars, the situation was reaching a critical point. Despite the disruption, the primary Harvester ship continued to access the ancient facility. If they reached the core technology, not even Prometheus would be enough. "We need a more direct approach," Olivia decided. "Prepare boarding teams. We're going to manually disconnect that ship from the Mars facility." "Commander," her second-in-command protested. "That's a suicide mission." "Maybe," Olivia acknowledged. "But I'm not asking anyone to do what I won't do myself. I'll lead the team." As the Defiance moved closer to Mars, something unexpected happened. A transmission cut across all frequencies, not from Earth or any human ship, but from the Vexari flagship that had survived the initial Harvester attack on their homeworld. "This is Supreme Commander Raxer of the Vexari Dominion," came a proud voice. "We will handle the Mars incursion. Our ship is already compromised and unlikely to survive. We can inflict maximum damage." Olivia hesitated only briefly. "Acknowledged, Supreme Commander. We'll provide covering fire." The damaged Vexari flagship accelerated toward Mars on a direct collision course with the primary Harvester ship. Its engines flared beyond safe parameters, a brilliant blue star racing across the void. "They're going to ram it," someone whispered on the Defiance's bridge. On the quantum comm, Admiral Korvax's voice came through. "Commander Wu, you should know Raxer is my brother, the Vexari Dominion. Thanks, humanity, for showing us there is more than one kind of strength." Olivia watched in solemn respect as the Vexari ship slammed into the Harvester vessel at near relativistic speed. The resulting explosion was unlike anything she had ever witnessed, not just the energy of the impact, but a cascading quantum reaction as the Harvester's technology destabilized. The tendrils withdrew from Mars's surface as the massive ship began to break apart. But something was happening to the remaining Harvesters throughout the system. Without the controlling intelligence of the primary vessel, the hive mind was fragmenting. Ship after ship began to drift, powerless. "They did it," Olivia breathed. The Vexari broke the connection. In the research lab on Earth, Dr. Patel monitored the battle with Admiral Korvax at her side. When the Vexari flagship made its sacrifice, Korvax bowed his head briefly in the Vexari gesture of deepest respect. "Your brother died with great honor," Maya said softly. "He died as he would have wished," Korvax replied. "In battle, saving his people." He paused, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "And yours. The battle wasn't over. Though the immediate threat was neutralized, damaged Harvester vessels still posed a danger." For the next 12 hours, human and Vexari forces worked together to eliminate or capture the remaining enemy ships. When it was finally done, representatives from a dozen alien civilizations arrived in Earth's system. Drawn by the massive energy signatures of the battle, they came cautiously, uncertain of what they would find. What they discovered was humans and Vexari working side by side to rebuild what had been damaged. Earth revealed itself fully for the first time in centuries, no longer hiding behind the Ghost Protocol. In the Grand Council chamber built hastily to accommodate the alien delegations, Admiral Torres stood with Admiral Korvax as equals. "For too long, humanity has hidden in the shadows," Torres addressed the gathered representatives. "We cultivated myths about our nature because we feared what would happen if the galaxy knew the truth. Today that changes." A Talaxian ambassador stepped forward. "You deceived the entire galaxy. Why should we trust you now?" "Because we could have let the Harvesters destroy the Vexari," Torres replied simply. "We could have remained hidden, protected by our myths and legends. Instead, we chose to fight alongside those who came to conquer us. The humans have proven themselves worthy allies, Korvax added, surprising many who knew the Vixari rarely praised other species. They showed mercy when they could have destroyed us, and courage when they could have hidden. The discussion continued for hours as humanity formally introduced itself to the galaxy. Treaties were proposed, technology exchanges considered, defensive pacts suggested. The revelation that humans had been far more advanced than anyone suspected caused unease among some delegations. But the alliance with the Vixari, known as one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy, helped calm fears. As the diplomatic talks proceeded, Dr. Patel found Lieutenant Commander Reed watching from a balcony above the chamber. "Strange, isn't it?" she said. "After centuries of hiding, we're finally stepping into the light." "Old habits die hard," Reed replied. "Part of me still wants to slip back into the shadows." "The Ghost Protocol served its purpose," Maya said. "But we can't hide forever, especially not with threats like the Harvesters out there." Reed nodded thoughtfully. "The real question is what happens next. The Vixari have lost much of their fleet and their homeworld is devastated. Other species might see opportunity in their weakness. Unless they have powerful allies," Maya pointed out. Below them, Admiral Torres was finalizing the first formal alliance between humans and Vixari. Once enemies, now bound by shared sacrifice. From myths to legends, Reed mused. That's what we're becoming now. "Legends are just myths that prove themselves true," Maya replied. "And humanity has always been real, waiting for the right moment to emerge." As news of the alliance spread throughout the galaxy, the stories changed. Humans were no longer mysterious creatures of doubt and fear. They became known for something else entirely. The species that chose alliance over conquest when it mattered most, who revealed themselves not for glory or power, but to save others. The myths about humans transformed into new legends, not of a fearsome unknown species, but of a people who had hidden their light until the darkness grew too great to bear alone. And in distant parts of the galaxy, other Harvester ships received the final transmissions from their fallen brethren. They adjusted their course, moving away from the system containing Earth. Some threats were best approached with caution, especially those that had transformed from myths into legends in the space of a single battle.